All right. So, day 5 of the Jonathan Majors domestic violence trial happened today. And let's see what happened. It felt like the abuse that I was in had just not ended since Grace Jabari today in court of the personal aftermath of Jonathan Majors' arrest on domestic abuse charges against her back in March. The British national continued her testimony in Major's trial in what occurred on March 25th in New York City with her then boyfriend and how fraught the relationship with the Creed 3 star had been beforehand. Under questioning from Manhattan District Attorney's Office and later from the defense, Jabari may have had to pause on occasion because she became so upset over questions about another ex's suicide and more. Yet at the same time, the self-described professional dancer who dated Majors for almost 2 years was steely adamant about who put hands on who and why 8 months ago. So, wait a minute. Why were they questioning her about an ex's suicide? Do they think she's some sort of Black Widow or something? Oh, wait, they probably want to establish a pattern of, no, Jonathan wasn't threatening suicide because he was trying to manipulate you. You were just pushing him to it. I think that's the angle. He knows what he's done, Jabari told Judge Michael Gaffey and the jury of 3 men and 3 women Wednesday of Majors. He's cheated on me, he's attacked me, she bluntly added with the Loki actor sitting just a few feet away. I learned not to fight back, Jabari said to defense lawyer Priya Chaudhry as the attorney tried to establish that her client didn't hurt the witness that spring night in the back of a car because she wasn't screaming or lashing back. Having pled innocent months ago to assault and harassment charges, Majors could get up to a year behind bars if found guilty. While it is rare that a misdemeanor case like this isn't dealt with by a plea deal, the fallout that the acclaimed actor has had since the March incident with Jabari may be in part why Majors has taken this to trial. All right. Amidst whispers of other similar occurrences to what allegedly happened with Jabari, the actor was unceremoniously dumped by both management company Entertainment 360 and publicist The Lead Company in April. Previously announced roles for the Emmy-nominated star of Max's Lovecraft Country dried up, and ad campaigns for the U.S. Army and the eventual World Series champion Texas Rangers yanked off the air. In perhaps the harshest consequences so far, Disney in October removed Sundance fave Magazine Dreams, with Majors in a starring body sculpting performance that was once making a lot of Oscar noise from its release schedule. Despite mention of past incidents of a cruel and manipulative pattern of abuse by Majors, to quote the opening statement by Assistant District Attorney Michael Perez earlier this week, the jury will not hear evidence of prior indictive occasions here or in the UK. Following a defense motion, Judge Gaffey ruled that the material he termed prejudicial and inflammatory towards Majors would be kept under wraps and sealed. So, why bring it up in the opening statement if you can't deliver? Okay. But it makes sense that Jonathan would want to take this to court if, He's trying to salvage his career. I don't blame him. He wants to show everybody that, yes, just because I was accused of something doesn't mean it's true. Which is true. They should have at least waited and parted ways with him after there came a decision in court as to whether this came true. Because this just sets a precedent that anybody can accuse an actor if they want to seek revenge. They can accuse anybody of assault, and that could just tank their career before they have a chance to defend themselves. So yeah, I don't blame him. Let's see. This is a partial sentence, but okay. In the UK and here in the US, defense says Jabari was actually the violent one that spring night after flying into a so-called jealous rage over suggesting text from another woman on the actor's phone. Now, and she admitted this. She said that he cheated on her. She's already admitted that. Now, whether he's actually been cheating on her or it's one of those situations where my boyfriend is speaking to another woman, so he must be cheating on me with her because, men and women couldn't possibly be just friends. I don't know which one it is. It could be either. Alright. Today, Jabari admitted she was reluctant to tell first responders what had happened between her and Majors when the police showed up at the actor's Chelsea apartment hours later in response to a 911 call, a call made by Majors. I think things he had told me in the past of me not trusting police and what they would do to him as a black man, and I didn't want to put him in that situation, the witness stated. Okay, that's fair. However, it's great that you understand that racism is a thing and that the justice system would probably be prejudiced against him. That's all well and good, but if he truly did beat the snot out of you, why are you concerned about his well-being? Exactly. Now, I understand that this is, a battered wife syndrome. Is that, women are so conditioned by the abuser that they need him, that, that they'll go so far as to defend him or to excuse away the abuse. So it could be a little bit of that she didn't feel like she could leave the situation, and the only way to ensure that he didn't further abuse her was to protect him or something. So, and that's operating under the assumption that he truly did abuse her. And it's possible he might have verbally abused her, if not physically abused her. It does sound like, from the recording she played, that he's, a bit of a narcissist. He sounds like he's a bit full of himself, so. Being a woman, half naked and surrounded by strange men, was not the nicest feeling I've ever experienced in my life, she added, of waking up in a walk-in closet in Major's pad to a huddle of officers. Well, can't blame her for that. Only in the hospital later, with a busted finger, bruising, swelling, and a self-cleaned laceration behind her ear, did Jabari open up about a situation with my boyfriend had hurt me and that I hadn't done anything to myself. Okay, so she opened up when he wasn't around. Yeah, that makes sense. Like I said, I think yesterday, if I'm being abused and the abuser is in the room, not going to admit it. Come on. I don't have a death wish, and she obviously doesn't either. So, that makes sense. I'm a very private person, and I like to keep quiet, Jabari admitted at one point of her reaction to the high-profile case and the initial inquiries from authorities. Okay, I wouldn't say that, it's because you're a private person. That is just a bizarre reasoning to me. I mean, it's not because she doesn't want to tell everybody her business, but when they first found her, she was in the same apartment as the man who's being accused of beating her. If she was actually being abused by him, of course he's not going to open up when he's in the same room within earshot. I mean, come on. That's not how you do this. Mentioning text messages between Majors and Jabari in the hours and days following the incident, security camera footage, and some nightclubbing by the alleged victim, Chaudhry Wednesday once again picked up on the defense's premise that their client was actually the victim here, from his then-girlfriend, who may or may not have had a drinking problem, and prosecutors, somebody forgot to proofread that paragraph. The cross-examination today by Chaudhry found things get very tense in the lower Manhattan courtroom. While outlining Major's upbringing, faith, education, and career, the attorney found herself countered by Judge Gaffey via objections to her questioning of Jabari and the interferences in said questioning. More testimony from Jabari is expected Thursday, with the trial, which saw opening statements on December 4th, set to last about 2 weeks in total. Judge Gaffey made a point today of reminding Majors of the order of protection he granted in April and that the actor is to have zero contact with Jabari. I think he's moved on from her. So whether he's an abuser or not, he wants nothing to do with her, so that shouldn't be a problem. Yes, Your Honor, Majors, who was once again joined today in court by Harlem actress Meagan Good, replied, "No word yet if Majors will testify in his own defense in this trial." Now, based on what little they showed, that they played of his recording yesterday, I can see why the defense is even considering having him not testify. Because he's so full of himself that he might unintentionally or, I guess it could have been intentional, that he might be so full of bravado, he might intentionally try to puff himself up and accidentally incriminate himself. So, I can see why they would be worried about, even if he wasn't the bad guy, he might actually get talked into admitting to something because he's such a narcissist. But what else was I going to point out? Oh, yes. It bothers me when people point out, his upbringing, his faith, especially the faith. I don't care if you're a Christian. I don't care if you're religious. That should not shield you from being garbage. I mean, him holding the Bible, him, this lawyer telling everyone what a good Christian he is. I mean, that is not a defense. Because a lot of people who claim to be good Christians have done horrible, horrible things. Hell, a lot of bigotry is that they're shielding themselves for being a bigot using religion. So, no. Talking about a person's faith shouldn't do anything. Upbringing, okay, he probably didn't have the easiest of lives. Again, that does not that should not give him a free pass to being a jerk. He's an adult. He can rise above his struggles. There have been people who've risen above their upbringing. So again, that can only be taken so far. Faith should not be taken into consideration at all, because people can say a lot of things and not follow through. Education, I don't know what that has to do with anything. Career, okay. So this is torpedoing his career, which I've already mentioned should have waited until after there was a decision in this trial rather than immediately. But again, what does that have to do with anything? What about her career? I mean, that just drives me insane when men do bad things to women, and the first line of defense is, why are you trying to ruin his life? What about hers? I mean, again, maybe she is making it up. Maybe he didn't beat her up. Because again, she allegedly went clubbing after this, which is not something you do. But, even if she was telling the truth, how is the fact that he has this amazing career, that should have absolutely no bearing on whether he should be found to be hot garbage. I mean, okay, it's going to ruin your career. That's too damn bad, because, just because you're an amazing actor doesn't mean you can get away with everything. Now, if it turns out that he did not do what he's being accused of, then yeah, he shouldn't lose his career because of that. So again, I don't see what his career has to do with anything, because whether either he did something bad, in which case it torpedoes his career and it's his own damn fault, or she tried to torpedo his career and hopefully, his career will get back on track afterwards. Either way, the threat of him losing his career should not have any bearing on this situation, because that is the consequence of being garbage, is you will lose a bunch of stuff that you care about. So I don't know why bring that up. Education, I have zero idea what that has to do with anything. I mean, I don't care if you're a freaking Rhodes Scholar. You can't beat people up. And if he didn't, again, what does that have to do with anything? So the only thing that could have a remote relevance to the case is his upbringing, because we know that you're a creature of your upbringing. Not always. You can rise above it. You don't have to. If you're surrounded by abusers, you can rise above it and not become an abuser yourself. So I don't know so upbringing does have some bearing, on, you can, like I said, you can rise above a lot of it, but there is still something to upbringing that will affect how you see the world and see relationships and whatever, up to an extent. So that is the only thing mentioned that makes even a lick of sense. The rest of it, I don't know why people harp on that when in the court, because none of the rest of that should really matter. Anyway, that is the end of the article. So I will see you guys tomorrow.